Hello, 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 good people. Welcome, welcome. It's me again. It's your good friend, Subject X. It's been not so long ago since I last talked to you. Today is, by the way, welcome to the new year, this new year, 2016. I hope it's going to be good. Today is the 4th of January, 2016. It's a bit of a grim day. No sunshine, cloudy, a bit of rain. Not really pleasant. Not a good start of the year, actually. I don't know. Why does it have to be this way? And also, I'm not feeling 100%. Actually, I've been battling with some flu or cold for weeks now, and it's, every time I think, okay, now it's gone, and then it comes back again. I was very happy to be able to, on New Year's Eve, I put my first video out, and it was not the one I intended to make, but I thought it's way better to have at least something than to wait until infinity, until something is finished, which is going to take a long time to finish. And you have to start small, start with something, and then there is a lot more videos that I want to make, which actually chronologically precede the one that I posted. But everything will be sorted out at some point in the future, so don't worry, those videos will be there, and then everything will start to make sense. Well, okay, the thing I wanted to talk about is I made something over the weekend. Actually, the 1st of January was really a day to do nothing and really relax and wait until the day was finished. But then the next day I had a nice idea, which I have to explain a bit. I made a modification to my guitar amplifier. I have a Fender SuperChamp XD guitar amplifier, which is a tube amplifier, which is very, if you play electric guitar, then you know that tube amplifiers are really the thing for guitarists. So I bought this amplifier I don't know, 5 years ago, I think. And it was my first and only tube amplifier. Before, I always used solid state amplifiers, which, for me were fine up to a certain point. But then, once I bought this amplifier, I'm really happy with it. I liked it. I now understand this thing about tube amplifiers and what makes them so nice. So, but then, when I'm recording, the thing about this amplifier, it has some digital modeling. So there is a selector and you can select certain amp models, which are like digital emulations of certain guitar amplifiers, which are then fed through the power stage of the amplifier, which is the tube part. I mean, the rest of the amplifier is completely solid state, so it's only the power amplifier part which is tube, but that still gives a nice edge to the sound, which I like. I did some recording with this amplifier, and sometimes very successful. Otherwise, sometimes I was not so happy with the sound. The modeling, whenever I used these amp models, I was not so sure about whether I really liked it. Somehow it just didn't seem to sound completely right. I'm always looking for other ways to record guitar, and there's a lot of software out there which does actually the same thing. Like they amp model different guitar amplifiers. One of the pieces of software that I used, for instance, is Guitar Rig, which I got for free when I bought a Native Instruments audio control, I can see it now because I'm using it now to record the sound. Audio control 1 audio interface. With this came a sort of a coupon with which I could choose one free piece of software, and I chose the Guitar Rig. But actually, I hardly ever use it because I really don't like the sound of it. It's not for me. To me, it sounds completely artificial and has nothing to do with sound of a guitar amplifier. But another piece of software I used is Amplitube, which I like much better. I think they emulate especially the sound of like a tube amplifier. Distortion, they model much better than Guitar Rig. Okay, this is my opinion, so you don't have to agree with me. But to me, it sounds much better. So I use that sometimes for recording guitar, but then it's a bit the same problem I had with it that I have with the Fender. Somehow it doesn't sound right, or maybe you should modify the sound more to get it really good sounding. I don't know, but somehow I mean, it's okay, but it's not. It doesn't sound real. It doesn't sound real for some reason. And this may be completely imaginary. It may be all in my head, but still, if I can find a way that I really like, then it would be much better. So I experimented also with. I have another amplifier, my previous guitar amplifier, which I still have, which is a solid state amplifier, which has a line in, or what do you call it, send return loop. I experimented with using the sound of Amplitube and then feeding that through this return of the effects loop of my other amplifier, which is, by the way, it's a Laney Linebacker 100 watts guitar amplifier. It's completely solid state. So I tried that, but that didn't really work for me, and it didn't sound right. Maybe I didn't try it enough, and also when I recorded it, it just didn't work with this piece of music that I used or that I was working on, and for which I recorded this guitar part in this way. And there was nothing. For some reason, I couldn't get it to sound right. It was really completely useless, actually. But then, I was thinking, well, it would be nice if instead of using the solid state, you could use the power amplifier of the Fender, which is all tube, which is probably going to add some nice thing to the sound. That's what I hoped. But unfortunately, the Fender doesn't have a send effects loop or some input. Of course, you have the guitar input, but that is not really working in the sound coming from a sound card. There's a level mismatch, there's an impedance mismatch, so that doesn't really work. And also, then the sound goes through the preamp section, which has also the equalizing parts, like a bass and a treble EQ section. And I don't want that in the signal path. I don't need it. Suddenly this idea popped into my head, and I did some research on internet, and I found that there is actually it's not really very difficult to make an extra input directly to the power amplifier of the Fender. I found this information online. I see if I can post this link in the description below, and then if you're interested, you can also do the same. It was really easy. I don't know much. I know something about electronics, but it is that I found this on the internet, because otherwise I wouldn't know how to modify this amplifier to get this working. Somebody did that for me, so I didn't have to do it myself. On Saturday, I went to this electronics shop that I go to sometimes. I bought some parts. Actually, I didn't need much. I needed a potentiometer and a jack input plug for a guitar. Actually, just a mono jack plug. And I needed something else. A switch. And I guess that was it. So here you see the SuperChamp. This is the normal input. You can select this section, or you can, by pressing this button, you select this section, which is the amp modeling part, which has a separate gain and volume. And this is the voice. You have 16 voices that you can choose from, and the voices are different amp models. Some really heavy distorting models, and others are sort of clean. This is EQ section, and then there is also a effects section with a level. You can add some reverb, for instance. Okay, now over to the back side. I'm going to turn it around. Okay, this is the part I made, and I put it on this wooden plate because that made the most sense to me. I didn't want to make holes into this chassis here. That's why I did it here. And there is a switch. Oh, okay, that's what I forgot to mention. So this is the input. This is the volume control. And then there's a switch which enables or disables the potentiometer. The reason is that if I now plug my guitar into the front, then the potentiometer is still in the signal path, and it will also control the level, which is not really necessary because there is a volume control on the preamp. And then another thing, I did sometime before already, which is a switch which switches some high wattage resistors into the speaker path to make it a little bit less loud. This amplifier is quite difficult to control the volume. Like, it's always too loud, I think. And I don't really like it to be that loud. If I put it in this up switch position, then it's about 10 dB less loud, which I use for practicing, for instance. All right, well, that was it, I guess. And okay, I got this working, and I tried it out, and I now have some more options because I also have another sort of preamplifier thing, which I also use for recording. It has also like an instrument input. Okay, yeah, I got this other preamplifier, which I'm gonna hold up now. Oh. Like this. It's a Studio V3 tube MP whatever. And I use this for recording. It is a tube preamp. It's not really super duper special, but it's useful. But now I can connect it to the line input of my Fender, and then I have a full tube preamp, which I didn't have before because the preamp of this SuperChamp is just solid state. It's not a tube preamp. So, but with this thing here, it's completely all tube. So And I really liked the sound. It was really good. A problem I had with the other input is that it was very hard to overdrive. Like, that's of course a very nice sound if you get like a little bit of distortion from the tubes. And that was not easy to do because you can, maybe I should explain that. You have the option of just bypass this amplifier modeling stuff and just go straight into the tube amp, which I used quite a lot because for recording it, to me it sounded much nicer. But then it was really hard to make it distort, like, get some overdrive. Distortion is not the right word, maybe. Anyway, so then I used like some equalizer effect panel, which I actually just use as a booster, so to boost the signal. And well, it gave me a little bit of, an edge to the sound, but not really what I was looking for. But with this thing, I can really crank up the volume and get some nice distortion. So that's gotta be useful. But then yesterday I also did this experiment. That was my first goal, to use like the Amplitude software and then put it out into the Fender. And that worked really well. I was quite happy and I liked the sound a lot, much better than with the solid state Laney. You have to make sure in Amplitude you have the option of, like, it's a complete model of how you would record a guitar. Like, you have an amplifier and then you have a cabinet which is mic'd with some microphones, and you can select different types of microphones and you can select which cabinet to use and whatever. But what you need to do is bypass the cabinet because you don't want that sound. You just want the sound of the preamp. I did that, and it's really, I was quite pleasantly surprised by the sound I got. But then, I have to experiment with it more. I'm not sure if it will keep up if I record it like with a microphone, if it, how it will sound then. But I'm very curious, so I'm happy with it. Well, maybe if I'm very active today when I edit this video, I'm gonna add like a schematic of this modification I made to the amp, because I did it a bit different, because I added like this potentiometer I told you, so that I can control the level of the sound going into the power amp, because otherwise you have it full on and it's very loud. So, and then of course you can lower the level on your sound card, but that is not ideal because then you lose like the bit resolution. That's what they told me. Well, I know. In this case, I really know what I'm talking about. Well, anyway, this is my message for today. Well, it's a bit technical, I know. And if you don't like it, okay. It's not always going to be like this. We're just, these are the things that I'm doing during the day, so I just want to share it with you people. And then maybe it can be useful, or you just find it interesting, I don't know. Or not, and it's fine with me. Okay, enough for me. I'm going to make some more shots of the amplifier and the modification I made. It doesn't really look, very nice, but it's functional. It's functional, and that's the that's the important part. I choose function over aesthetic any day. But yeah, that's me. Okay, bye bye for now. See you later.